Hello and welcome to Sea of Tranquility and welcome to an album ranking. My name is Steven Reid. I'm your host for the show, and I want to start by saying a big thank you to your friend and mine, Mr. Peter Pardo, for letting me, I suppose, stray outside of the usual SOT parameters just a little bit because I'm going to be ranking the albums of INXS, not a band that you've heard of very often through Sea of Tranquility, I wouldn't have thought. I've spoken about them once before on the channel. That's maybe the only coverage they've had. Anyway, be interested to see if there's a lot of love or not for the band amongst the SOT faithful viewers, but we shall see. So, this is INXS we're talking about. Okay, the band formed in 1977 in Sydney, in Australia. And while rumours kind of persist that one of these days they might return, in effect, it would appear they split in 2012. So, other than the one obvious and notable change, they had a remarkably steady lineup during their time, consisting of the brothers Tim Farris on guitar, Andrew Farris on keyboards and guitars, and John Farris on drums. They also had Gary Beers, that's two Garys, okay, on bass, and Kirk Pengilly also on guitars and saxophone. And then, of course, you had a certain guy called Michael Hutchence on vocals, who, as we all know, we won't go into it, sadly died in 1997. Think about that, 1997. It's heading towards 30 years. Anyway, so since then, a number of people have fronted the band. Some for a few years, some for a few songs. Notably, you have people like of Jimmy Barnes, Terence Trent D'Arby, Russell Hitchcock of Air Supply, and Susie DeMarchi of Baby Animal. So they've all appeared live with the band, some for a few songs, some for a few shows, things like that. And then you've got guys like John Stevens, who's probably best known for Noiseworks and The Dead Daisies, a couple of solo albums. JD Fortune, who, if you're an INXS fan, you will know won the band's Rockstar INXS reality show to earn his spot with the band, and also Kieran Gribben. So they've all officially been part of INXS at some stage or other, not just a kind of guest on stage and a live performance. Others have also kind of come and gone. Some have recorded a track or two, or whatever it may be with the band. Cover some of that in a bit. But other than Michael Hutchence, it's only the aforementioned JD Fortune who has actually recorded with the band. So let's get to it. There's 12 albums to rank here, maybe 11, but we're going to do 12, and I will explain why in just a second. Okay, so let's start at number 12. And my number 12 is the self titled debut from INXS, released in 1980 through Deluxe Records in Australia. I don't think it was out until 1984 elsewhere. I think my copy is through Mercury Records. Truth be told, I've never really liked this album, to be honest. It has kind of a new wave meets ska vibe to it. It's maybe a more me thing, but anyone that knows me well, and we've covered it in a recent UK connection, I don't really like ska very much. We don't really get on very well. So there's a reason why I have probably not listened to this very much at all since I bought it a few decades ago. It's the sound of a band, I think, trying to find themselves, trying to set out what they're all about, and not really managing to. They just seem to sound like lots of other things instead. That's it. On a Bus, which opens the album, kind of has a commercial Stranglers feel about it. It's not too bad. I like the guitar line in that, actually. Just Keep Walking was a hit in Australia. Not a massive hit, but it was a hit nonetheless for a band making their debut. It has something about it, but there is far too much derivative kind of material on this album for my taste. Doctor, Body Language, Newsreel Babies just don't really work for me at all. So number 11, I can't show it because I don't have it, because I don't own it. It is Original Sin from 2010. It's the 12th album from the band. It's their last album, presumably their final album. I wasn't going to include it. And the reason that I wasn't going to include it is it's re-recordings of INXS songs by INXS, but with guest singers coming in to sing on what are quite reasonably reworked and rearranged new versions of these songs. But it is officially in the catalogue. so I have included it. I don't love it much. It's an interesting idea. It also highlights, I suppose, the strained relationship they had with JD Fortune, because I think technically he was still in the band at this stage and he appears on one song, but I think it was recorded a while back. But anyway, more of him later. Um, it also kind of highlights the limbo or the difficulty that moving forward with such an enigmatic singer proved for INXS. It really has been just too much, really, in many ways. A couple of tracks work well, I think. Beautiful Girl, which has Patrick Monaghan from Train. I quite like the early stuff of, but not really after the first two of the albums. Um, he does a really kind of cool, stripped back, it's a kind of dreamy version of the song. And Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20 does a really good job with the title track of Original Sin. Um, Not a huge fan of Matchbox 20, to be fair, but he does a really good version, sings it really, really well. I could live without the rap section that you get in that song from DJ Yali Days or whatever it is. I apologise. Pronunciation, not good. I think the emphasis here was really too much on not just repeating what the original songs had done. There are hints of something that could have been good, but New Sensation never needed to be a country track. And even bringing in Tricky to rap, I suppose, on Mediate, that kind of makes sense because it is a kind of vocal rap as opposed to Hutchins singing the original, but it's overworked and it just doesn't really sit very well, I don't think. It's the one that maybe should have worked and kind of doesn't. So number 10 for me is album number two from the band. This is like the album up here. This is Underneath the Colours from 1981. And to me, it shows a lot of growth for the band. It's quite impressive how much they've moved on from the debut, where it really is just these are our influences, but we're going to just sound like them realistically. That said, there's a long way to go to the band that really made it massive. That there's still a huge amount of difference between the kind of glory years and these early years. But it's a good album and it kind of cements where they were at the time. Hutchins is beginning to find his own voice here, I think. Some of the deep cuts, like Fair Weather Ahead, really maybe kind of signpost what we're going to get, certainly for the next four or five albums, I would suggest. Night of Rebellion is a kind of cool pop rockabilly swagger about it, and the title track has a kind of understated appeal. It's an interesting album, as I say, a huge step forward from where they had come from. So, number 9 is Full Moon Dirty Hearts from 1993. This is the band's ninth album. So, to me, we've kind of moved into a stage where things start to improve really quite greatly, and things become a little bit interchangeable too. There's a lot of difference between these albums when you start to go backwards and forwards in mood and tone and the way that they are recorded. And depending on your moods, I could start to move really anywhere from probably my 9 to my 5, could move up or down. Probably wouldn't move above that, but they're kind of like for like at this stage. They're all pretty good. Um, Oddly, the album opener, Days of Rust, feels like a kind of nod back to those early days. But at this point, the sound is kind of toughened, and it feels like the band are trying to kind of make a kind of statement for me that they're not just that hits band, that band that's about all those massive hits. There's a lot of depth here, and it does kind of move them in different directions. The Gift is big and brooding. There's kind of a huge kind of echo on the vocals. It almost takes things into a Led Zeppelin kind of place. And it is reasonably convincing, I have to say. Make Your Peace feels to me like a mix of kind of Lenny Kravitz, maybe Jamiroquai, not things that I'm massively into, but it kind of works because it's got that classic INXS guitar sound still in place. Better than I'm describing it there because they're not really things that to me would really sell it, but I do like it. And maybe it's the reintroduction of producer Mark Opitz, who'd been with the band earlier on, that kind of adds a few nods to all the way through the band's career at this point, I think. I'm Only Looking Again has that kind of early kind of vibe. I don't really like the kind of faux funk of Please You Got That with Ray Charles. Really doesn't work for me very much. Or I must admit, I don't really like the title track that has Chrissy Hynde on a co-vocal as well. It's a kind of slow blues crawl, and it just seems to me like a stretch too far. It's an album that's kind of all over the place in many ways. And post probably X, I think things kind of tend to do that quite often in the INXS catalogue as they look to kind of work out who they are, where they've been, and where they should go ultimately. Number 8 for me is Welcome to Wherever You Are. This is an old library copy version that I bought at a sale many moons ago for about 50 pence. I should maybe replace it because the booklet's never been in good condition, but there you go. Anyway, album number 8, 1992, Welcome to Wherever You Are. And this album, again, it feels like an acknowledgement to me that after Kick and X, they needed to do something a little bit different, I think. I think it's a good move, to be fair, and it does come off. It's maybe let down, but actually maybe not having the confidence to step a little bit further and be a little bit bolder. I think it's still kind of playing it within those parameters that the band had already made their name with. It's understated in places, and it can be a little bit forgettable. Like it's one of these albums I come back to and think I don't know much about this album. And then I listen to it and think, well, actually, I really do, and it's quite good. I like the Middle Eastern flavours of the opening track, Questions. Moves into a kind of really kind of slow simmer of Heaven Sent, which is really good. Communication has always felt a little bit half baked for me. That kind of follows on from there. It's a little uneven in general, though. I think Taste It feels like a good idea that's not maybe quite seen through. Is it a brooding rock song? Is it a bluesy burst? Is it intelligent pop? Kind of doesn't really do any of those, I would suggest. And then you get things like Baby Don't Cry, which almost feels like it should be part of a stage show, which I kind of struggle with a little bit. It's got smart intentions, and with a lot of this album, I think it's got good intentions and great ideas. They don't maybe quite go the whole hog with it, though, to kind of see that through. Back Online, I like that a lot. That possesses bags of atmosphere, but same again, doesn't necessarily quite know what to do with it. It's a good album. It's not a great album, in my humble opinion. Number 7 for me, maybe a little bit controversial because Shabu Shaba, which was the band's third album, it's from 1982. This is a favourite, high up the list for a lot of people. I like it. It's really good. A really naff cover, but there you go. I, Going back and looking at the timeline and listening to these albums in chronological order, you really do see that bands were allowed to grow and progress and change and evolve and become the best version of themselves, I suppose, because it's another big step up from the albums that had come before. We really are beginning to sound a bit like INXS at this stage. They are more lithe, it's more commercial, but in a good way. And it's kind of got a pop rock edge. And I suppose you could describe a lot of INXS as pop rock. They're not an out and out rock band, but they're definitely not throwaway pop music. Mark Opitz is again the producer here, and he helps a lot. I think he's kind of bringing a different aspect of what's going on. But there is now an underlying confidence. That's the difference for me, is they really seem to be able to believe who they are at this point. And it's maybe the first time in the catalogue chronologically that you start to think, hold on, something's happening here. This is a really good band that we've got. The song To Look at You it's kind of understated, but it's memorable. I really like it. And the one thing is way kind of more multifaceted than the band had been before at this point. The guitars have a sheen that they admittedly would refine over the next few albums, but it's beginning to really click in place. Don't Change is a great lyric about kind of being yourself, sticking two fingers up at other people's expectations. It's very relatable, and a lot of the lyrics across these albums are. I'm not a massive lyrics guy, but there's actually quite a lot of good lyrics and some rubbish, but a lot of good lyrics across these albums, it has to be said. The deeper tracks, there are some good deeper tracks here too. I like Golden Playpen. Here Comes hasn't really stayed the course, but I like it when I hear it. Still, it's a huge improvement on the albums that have come before for me. We really are beginning to get where we need to be. Album 6 is the seventh studio album, 1990. This is X, holds it in a big fangled poster thing here with the CD version. This is a really good album, actually, and again, it's interesting when you go back and you listen to these albums in order because you think about your own hang-ups with certain things. Because 3 years on from the explosion that was Kick for INXS, this was kind of, it felt a bit like Stick or Twist. Do they just kind of stay where they were and see if they can carry on with that same formula to really cement where they were, or do they try something a little bit different? And I guess at the time, I found X to be really quite safe. It's not Kick 2. That would be unkind, but it feels a little bit more like I don't know, a little brother or a little sister to the album that came before. It does, though, start on fire. Suicide Blonde with that kind of wild harmonica refrain. It's got a really catchy chorus. That's how it opened the album. It's really good. Disappear is a little safer, but it's a great song and it very much sticks in the mind. That's how it right hits, basically. Um, and then The Stairs, to me, that's maybe the album's kind of crowning achievement. It's a beautiful track and it really shows the classy songwriting that INXS were capable of as a band, but certainly also the ability to have a frontman that can maybe take it somewhere else. He's very much a chameleon, Michael Hutchence. And yeah, I know he's a kind of love him or loathe him kind of character. He maybe became larger than life for a period and was a little bit kind of everywhere. So if you weren't into INXS, you maybe were sick of seeing the guy's face a little bit. But I tell you what a talent and much missed. I've never been a fan much of By My Side. Feels a little bit obvious, and that almost feels like a bit like a kick left over. But the good here outweighs the not so good. Know the Difference is a really kind of cool cut that knows what it's about. And Bitter Tears is one of those kind of pop rock pieces of perfection that INXS could just conjure up without seemingly too much effort at this stage. And I like the floating atmosphere of Hear That Sound. It's really good too. Now, anyone that really loves it in excess will be kind of going, you surely missed something out because his five cannot be switched. But it is. This was the 11th album from the band from 2005, and it's the last album of all new in excess material that the band would or have released. It's also the only one to feature JD Fortune. So, yeah, I know I'm going to be out on a limb here. This is not a popular album. But I just think the songwriting's really tight on it. It's really focused. I mean, no one was ever going to be able to replace Michael Hutchence in a band that he was the face and the voice of. I don't think there's much doubt. I mean, the Faris brothers, Andy Faris, wrote most of the songs. But you needed a front man to take them somewhere, and Michael Hutchence did. So asking anybody to follow that and then doing it through a reality show, you're ever going to find someone that could kind of be their own man? JD Fortune does a really good job of it. He makes a good fist of what feels like an impossible job to me. Um, it's a bit of a shame that it clearly just didn't really connect on different levels for the band. I saw this lineup live, really, really enjoyed it. I thought they were excellent, thought they were really good, and it kind of saddens me that the album is pretty much lambasted more than anything else. But here you go. I like it. I really like Devil's Party as a confident strutting opener, and INXS at their best always knew how to open an album on top form. Afterglow is just a beautiful, heartfelt song. It's really good. It captures the imagination. It has a superb vocal. JD Fortune is really good here. Then you have things like Hot Girls. I like that song, but it's stupid. There's no two ways about it. It's stupid. It's got an obvious lyric, but it's got a great groove, and it is absolutely hook laden. And it's got a really great riff as well. It's one of the heavier kind of moments from the band. But yeah, focus on the lyrics. They're crap, for want of a better turn of phrase. Hungry is another good rocker. I like that. And God's Top 10, which has a really great guest vocal from Susie McNeil. That really should have been a mega smash hit, but it was kind of over for INXS. On that level, by this stage, I would suggest. It really gets a bad rap switch. I'm going to show it again because I really like it. I really like this album. That said, once we move into the top four, for me, we move from really good albums into really great albums. I think that the top four here are remarkably consistent. I really like 1997's Elegantly Wasted. This is the band's 10th album. the last one, Michael Hutchins, produced by Bruce Fairbairn, who you wouldn't necessarily connect with this kind of style of music, and Andy Faris along with him. Um, Faris wrote everything, Andy Faris, along with Hutchins lyrically on the album this time round. He is the chief songwriter throughout the whole discography. But I think this is the only one where he's actually credited just him and him alone. In INXS terms, it was a bit of a failure chart-wise. It failed to get into the top 40 in the US album charts, which were what was a ginormous act prior to this, um, was kind of some climb down, really. I think it's the most cohesive album post Kick by quite some distance. They seem to be less concerned actually about who they are and what they're doing, and they just settle for writing a really great collection of rock songs and a really great collection of pop songs and putting them together. There is a kind of earthier, more real guitar tone across the album, and that doesn't hurt. Um, Again, rather unexpectedly, it's the pound and punch of kind of John Bonham that greets you on the decidedly Zeppelin-like album opener, Show Me Cherry Baby. Um, it's, I don't know, you just don't connect those two bands together at all, but it is what's going on there. And if you haven't heard it, it'd be interesting. You should go and give it a listen because that really is kind of where it's based. But you get things that are kind of more kind of pop-based boogie or elegantly wasted, has a real languid feel, and it kind of shows the other direction that the band were capable of heading into. It's a deep album, and it's a well-rounded and interesting album. There's things like Searching, just some really intriguing ideas about it. Girl on Fire has really great energy. It's just captures you as soon as it begins and never really lets go. And I like the bulging drums and kind of massive groove of Shake the Tree. It's also got a really good vocal. I mean, I haven't necessarily spoken about the vocals enough, but Hutchins is great. He really was. There's no two ways about it. It's a massively underrated album, in my opinion. Top three, kind of maybe a little bit obvious the top three, but they are the top three. They're not necessarily in the order you might expect. So, number three is The Swing from 1984. This was the band's fourth album, and we've arrived. This is them firing on all cylinders now. Um, we have a new sound and a new direction, and we've got something that people are going to connect with now. We've definitely kind of said goodbye to the formative years. This band know who they are. They probably don't understand it about the Head for Superstardom, but they most definitely are. Nick Launay produced the album, but it was the Nile Rodgers produced Original Sin that just exploded. That was the lead single, and it remains one of the defining moments for the band. But the whole album is punchier than what had come before, way more focused. And it comes across, again, that word confidence, it comes across as much more confident and really individual. I don't think there's any down moments across the swing. But it's just excellent. Original Sin opens it, and it's just a great song. You can't go wrong with the kind of attitude-packed Burn For You. I really like the forceful title track. The swing itself is excellent. And I Send a Message, it's eclectic. And I think this is an eclectic catalogue within a framework. There's no doubt about it, within a framework. But there are lots of different angles and flavours given across the INXS catalogue. So, more controversy, okay? Because number two for me is Kick. And I love it. I love this album. Okay, this was from 1987. This was the band's sixth album. Boom. Went ginormous. Absolutely ginormous. Here's the whole band here. Striking the pose. Feet on a skateboard. It went 6 times platinum in the US. Kick. Triple platinum here in the UK. It went ballistic across the world, really. And back, oh wow, long time ago now, on the channel, Pete did a month of perfect album sides. Pick an album that's got a perfect side. I chose Kick, and I chose side one, and said at the time, side two is not bad either. And yeah, I stand by that, and it's still my number two in this catalogue. Okay, but they've kind of found pop rock perfection here. The whole album just drips with hits, but it also drips with hooks, and it drips with choruses, but it's not throwaway. This is not throwaway. Chris Thomas produced the album. It sounds fantastic. The guitar sound right across Kick is massive, but it cuts through. It isn't a riff fest. But the guitars are so important here. And Michael Hutchence has become a rock god. And he's a heartthrob for all those who are into Michael Hutchence and all that kind of stuff. It's really, everything's clicked. Absolutely 100% clicked. It's just, we're at the zeitgeist for the band more than anything else. Really, it's all happening. I love John Farris's drums on this. He's not flashy, he's not a show off. I love a drummer that can fill the space, that can give you a few fills, a lot of motif here and there that you listen out for and you come back to. And when the song is playing the next time round, that's what you're thinking about. You know it's going to come. It's just a change of beat. I really think it's very clever. Really, really like them. Everything here is great. Everything here is great. But I mean, the singles and the hits and the stuff that everybody knows: New Sensation, Devil Inside, Need You Tonight, Never Tear Us Apart, Mystify. There's a reason why these were ginormous because they're just really, really good. You've got rockers, you've got kind of pop music, you've got dance floor fillers. It's also a little bit heartfelt in places too. The deep cuts are fantastic. Guns in the Sky, Wildlife, the title track, that is really good. It just doesn't do anything other than fulfill its potential. I mean, back in 1987, I was a heavy metal kid, said the guy in the Blaze Bailey t-shirt. I was a heavy metal kid. I didn't really do anything other than heavy metal. I did INXS because it's just too good. One of my mates brought Kick to my house at one point, and it was one of those moments you go, oh, I shouldn't like this because this is not in my world, but it's just too good not to connect with. And the album that I bought straight away after that was Listen Like Thieves. So this is the album before Kick, the band's fifth album from 1985. It's not a great cover. Doesn't matter because what's inside is absolutely fantastic. This is the blueprint. This is kind of setting the stage for Kick to come through, but I just think that it is less polished in a good way. It's less refined in a good way. It's a little bit more dangerous. Um, right from the off, what you need really pulsates the album into life. The guitar sound that would make Kick huge is already in place. It's buried deep in the song, and it's only there for a little bit. Somebody must have gone, that's the answer. That's what'll take us over the top. But it makes for a really interesting little aside on that. Hutchins is fantastic everywhere. He's powerful, he's engaging, he sells every word of every song. And that to me is a sign of a frontman that's going to go beyond just being, big to the fans and move it into something that the masses may well connect with. The title track is just phenomenal. Listen Like Thieves. It's brooding, it's moody, and yeah, it's catchy as hell. It's got a killer chorus. What more could you need? I'm in heaven with that song. I really am. Kiss the Dirt, that brings things back in. It's tight and contained. Shine Like It Does, maybe heads even further in that direction. We're all over the place in the best possible way. INXS maybe across the catalogue tended to front load the albums just a little bit too much. But Listen Like Thieves hits hard and no mistake right the way across. Do you know? Because you've got things like This Time. That's maybe actually my favourite song on the whole album. It's got such a big, bold chorus. It is super memorable. Good and Bad Times. I really like the kind of high tempo, biting bullets as well. Those two are excellent. I mean, arguably, these two are interchangeable for me. But when you sit down to do these kind of exercises, you have to make a choice. Will it be Kick tomorrow? Probably not, to be honest with you, because Listen Like Thieves has been my favourite from almost the moment that I heard it. And by that time, I was well ensconced in the world of Kick. It has to be said. I'd had that album for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months and played it incessantly, really. I just like that Listen Like Thieves has a little bit more grit, a little bit more dirt under its fingernails. You can kind of tell where the band come from, I suppose, at that point before they move into being this kind of global superstardom thing. So yeah, that's my ranking. I'll be intrigued to see. Do you love INXS? Do you hate INXS? Go on, play along, play nice. At least pretend you like them if you don't. Anyone that's in the band, I'm interested to see the ranking here because I mentioned to Jamie Laszlo that this was a show that I was going to be doing on my own, and he immediately said, "Well, it needs to be this, needs to be that, needs to be that," and we completely disagree. And that's the beauty of this because he loves them, I love them, but we do not align on what is good, bad, or indifferent. And that is the strength to do one of these kind of rankings because it's just a personal thing. This is how I connect with them. So, how do you connect with them? Tell me down in the comments below. And while you're doing that, if you could do all the usual stuff, if you could hit the like button because it helps the channel an awful lot. Pete has got things like a Ko-Fi page. There is merch from Sea of Tranquility covering a variety of the different shows and regulars and various things that you will see across the channel. And it all makes such a difference. It allows him to kind of keep things going and just bring you lots of new and interesting content. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for sticking with me. This has been a real joy for me. I really like INXS, as you can probably tell. And I hope that lots of people who watch it also do. So that's it. INXS, rank them down below and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I will speak to you again soon.